Epiphone Casino Worn versus Epiphone Casino Coupe. Which one do you choose? Or are you a weird hoarder like me and you have to have both of them? Hey everyone, I'm Jack Fossett and welcome to this shootout between the two budget-friendly Epiphone Casinos, the Epiphone Casino Worn and the Epiphone Casino Coupe. Now, these are modern iterations of the Epiphone Casino that are more budget-friendly than the standard and other versions that are available, and they're a little bit different than the standard and other versions, and with some similarities, some differences. So for those of you who are on the fence about which one to buy, hopefully this video points you in the right direction. This is not a sponsored video, I want to say that right off the bat. So, the Epiphone Casino Coupe and Worn. Now, my Coupe is older than my Worn. The Worn is brand new, the Coupe I've had for several years now. Obviously, the biggest difference that you see visually is that the Coupe is much smaller. This was kind of a cool thing that Epiphone came out with a while ago, with a smaller, more comfortable body, kind of in the inspiration of like the ES339. It's closer to like a Les Paul size body. That obviously makes it very comfortable to hold, as opposed to the bigger, more cumbersome standard size, which is more like the size of a 335. You're talking about, obviously, 330. Yeah, I get it. We're just talking about reference points here. Now, the Worn, obviously, the big thing about that is that it has a worn finish. It's really not a worn finish so much as it is a satin finish. Worn kind of implies that it's relict. It is not relict. It's just got a smooth satin, like a matte type finish, which really looks stunning. They released several cool colors with it, including this fancy blue one that I have, and this is a really well done finish. I will say that when you get a satin or matte type finish guitar, sometimes I'm like, okay, I gotta check that out, because I've seen ones where it just looks like a cheap gimmick, and I've seen ones where it really looks fantastic. This one, I think, really looks fantastic. Epiphone has done a great job with the finish on the Worn guitars. Now, couple of nitty-gritty details that are different. For instance, one is that the Coupe comes with standard Epiphone P90s, whereas the Worn comes with the Epiphone P90 Pros. How much of a difference in quality is that? That's hard to say. Sometimes with big companies, you know, slapping a word like Pro on it doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually a better pickup. I'm not saying that it doesn't, I'm just saying sometimes. So, for instance, when you listen to these two things tonally, one of the things that I notice immediately off the bat is that the Epiphone Casino Coupe is much punchier, with a little bit more of a present higher mid-range and a little bit less depth and sag to it. The Casino Worn, I actually think has a more pleasant tone to listen to, but with the sink and sag and with a little bit less attack on the note and a little bit less of that upper mid-range, it more easily gets lost in a mix. The Casino Coupe really punches well, the Casino Worn kind of sags and sinks a little bit better. When push comes to shove, it's really hard to say which one is best. It's really a matter of personal preference. They each have comfort benefits over the other one. I think the fact that the Coupe has the smaller body is comfortable if you don't want to get your shoulder up over something, if you want to kind of sit with it, or up on stage, it sort of holds a little bit better. The Worn, the satin finish feels really, really nice. It's very, very comfortable that way, but of course it is the bigger body. And then you have to just get down to what kind of sound do you need. Do you need that punchier, jumps off the string kind of tone, or do you need something that has a little bit more sync, a little bit more width and depth? Again, I found that there are times when overall I think I prefer the tone of the Worn better. However, I think the tone of the Coupe is more versatile, and there were some times when that brighter clarity that you got from the Coupe I found more pleasant than the Worn. These are two very, very comparable guitars when it comes to quality. Now, Epiphone's quality has been a little bit this way, and as far as guitars that I've played of theirs. However, I will say that I have never played a Casino that had major problems. In my experience, their Casino line has always been up to snuff, as well as some other hollow bodies. Certain other ones I've had problems with the electronics and the hardware, and I do think either of these guitars would benefit from some upgrades. The P90 Pros, again, it certainly seems like a little bit of a step up, but I think either of these guitars would benefit from a pickup upgrade as well as some hardware, maybe upgrade the bridge, get something that's a nicer material. All in all, you're getting a solid, usable guitar with great tone that can be then kind of boosted up to the next level with some upgrades. Now today you are listening to these two Casinos into a Henry Amplifications SRT Plus. This is inspired by an old Vox amp. This amplifier, in my opinion, my unsponsored opinion, this amplifier is probably one of the best ones that I have ever played with an Epiphone Casino. It is a Vox style amplifier that has a Fender-like feel as well as real spring reverb and tremolo. It is a superb amplifier. Now, it is a bit more expensive. Obviously, a lot of people playing the Casinos are going to be in the budget sort of line, but some aren't. If you have a chance to check one of these amps out, I think this really grabs a lot of the tones you're going to want from an Epiphone Casino. It's a great amplifier from a private company, so go ahead and check out Henry Amplification. For the overdriven tones today, you are hearing a Keeley Super Phat Mod. Now, you'll notice that the overdriven tones I'm going for today are a little bit hairier. Well, with the Epiphone Casino, you get the whole width of tones, as opposed to many hollow bodies, which kind of peak off at something in the mild to mid overdrive territory. The Casino is known for smooth, jazzy blues licks all the way up to gnarly fuzz when you're talking about some of the Beatles tracks with some experimental tones, as well as Gary Clark Jr. doing some cool fuzz tones with blues. So I did want to go for a bit more of an aggressive overdriven tone. I do want to mention that if you're playing at live volumes, overdriven tones can lead to some feedback issues with these guitars. The volume I'm playing at today is probably around rehearsal level. It is not up to a gig volume. If you're playing a little quieter and being mic'd up, it's not as much of an issue, but just be aware. If you're looking for a gigging guitar, any sort of hollow body will give you feedback issues, especially a full hollow body. These are not semi-hollow bodies. These are full hollow body guitars, and those will feedback. Now, before we go into a pickup by pickup comparison, I do want to play a quick sample of these unplugged. I get a lot of comments from people who say that they love Casinos just for picking them up and playing on the couch. Let's clarify this, because the term semi-acoustic that you folks across the pond from me use is kind of a silly, misleading term. Maybe it's technically correct, but I like to think of it as a hollow body guitar as opposed to a semi-acoustic, because this is really not intended to be played as an acoustic guitar. This is intended to be a plugged-in electric guitar, and that's where you get its best tone. However, for those of you who do like to sit and play them on the couch. I will give you a sample here just so that you can hear what the resonance of each guitar is. So let's take a listen to that, and then we are going to get into a pickup by pickup comparison, neck, middle, bridge, both clean and overdriven. I'm Jack Fossett. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know which your favorite is in the comments, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.